Well, I was going to do a video for questions, comments on YouTube, but evidently where I've picked, I don't have enough cell phone service to actually get the comments pulled up. So we're just going to go off of, what I remember. So figured I would do this. It was a nice afternoon. Hopefully the audio comes through pretty good. There is some wind here. I tried to pick this spot because of the wind, but I am coming from you from Custer State Park in South Dakota. Just here on a quick vacation for early October. The weather's absolutely fantastic. Right now it's in the high 60s. Done a little bit of hiking today, and then done quite a bit of driving. But give this one more chance to refresh here. You might hear a little bit of car back noise in the background. We're only about a couple hundred feet off the road. This is about as I was either going to have to go up or down if you get too much farther off the road, and I'm not too concerned about going up or down at the moment. It was not going to load. So just can't forget my phone right there. One of the questions that somebody asked is what's the rarest Onan part, or the NOS, new old stock Onan part. Now you should be able to get most Onan parts, particularly for the B43 and the P218. You can get them new. You can either get them through Boomer's Onan. So Boomer's Onan is a guy named Boomer, or Bob. He's out of Hastings, Minnesota. Really good guy. I would highly encourage you to go talk to him, or call him, not go talk to him, but call him. He doesn't have a website where you can buy stuff, which deters some people, but he is an absolute wealth of knowledge. Talked to him many times over the years. You can also go to onanparts.com, and you can go to any Cummins dealer to get parts for the most part. Some of the other questions that I've recently been asked, and I'm hopefully going back a little bit, because this is kind of really, I haven't thought about this video at all other than I should do it because the scenery is so pretty. Another video that I'm going to do in the future is just talking about Onans and rebuilding Onans versus repowers. I put out that Briggs & Stratton repower video a couple weeks back, and I'll eventually get back to that. It's just been extremely busy. This is really the first time that we've left the house since February. We were gone for a weekend in February, and now we're out in the Black Hills in early October. So it's been a busy 6-8 months. Just been busy, so I haven't gotten a lot of projects done that I wanted to do. Some of the other questions that I had, I'd hoped to answer some questions. Naturally, like I said, let me see if I can even pull them up in my email. Oh, here we go. I've got some of them already pulled up in my email. Somebody recently commented, in fact this morning at 7 a.m. commented on my 69 140 video. I said it was a 1969 140, and calling it quits on the X485. Frank Porcaro asked if I fabricated the steps on that 140. I really should come back to that 140. I don't think that project's going to move forward in the fashion that I originally planned on it. Originally I was going to finish the loader for it. However, somebody stopped by the house, namely to get that 445 that I've been working on recently. They stopped by the house, and one of the things that I traded for that 445 was the bucket that I got with that project. So now it needs a bucket, which means it's going to be a little bit harder to finish that project. Larson Home Inspection said made a comment on the X748 455. You're a fool if you don't sell it at that price. Newer tractors are better anyway. I'm not sure, I can't remember that video enough to tell you what he was talking about with the price, but newer tractors are better anyway. I think that's mostly true. Newer garden tractors, I think, are certainly more ergonomical, and they are more useful than older machines. They certainly spend a lot less downtime. That's the reason why I collect 318s, 110s, 140s, and I use I mean, you think about the machines that I use the most. I'm going to use the X748, the 1445, the 4066, um, and I also use the 455 quite a bit just because I really enjoyed the 455. Speed-wise, the 455 is much slower than any of those other three at numerous tasks. So, and like I said, I can't remember what somebody said about the price, or what I said about the price. 6 years of the combi system ownership. Somebody, Electric Maple Leaf Johnson, said, you realize you have no grass. I'm not sure what that's implying, but I have 7.5 acres of grass that I mow, and basically we put about 2 to 3 hours a week on weed whackers. If you go back and look, I bought that FS94R a couple months ago. Really like it so far. In fact, I haven't actually used it that much. The young man that does a lot of the weed whacking around the house has used it the most, and he really likes it compared to the KM110, just because of the 2-pound weight savings. See if I can, how far back I can go before I run out of. This is on the 425, 445, 455 fender pan and footrest removal. Bob Rossa, if I said that right, said, how'd you clean the suspension rails? I've removed mine from the fender assembly and trying to use liquid wrench, but they're not loosening up as much as I'd like. I don't have a parts washer. Also, my 445, the seat adjustment lever is on the right side rail, and it's spring attached to the front right side rail. Do the two pieces of each rail come completely apart or not? They only seem to want to come apart about 1/3 the length of the bottom rail. Bob, I'm not really sure. I don't have a suspension seat sitting in front of me. But to give you a little idea, I have always struggled with cleaning those seat slides off. Those seat slides get all kinds of junk and debris in them. Probably what I would do, since you've been using liquid wrench, I would actually take some brake cleaner and squirt the brake cleaner down there. That'll get rid of most of the liquid wrench and the grease, and let it dry for a couple hours, and then come back with some compressed air first and spray all that debris out as much as you can, and then just try to work it back and forth with more of that brake clean, and just keep sliding them back and forth, and they'll eventually get free. For instance, my 1445 that I mow with quite a bit, about once a year, I end up having to take some pressed air while the seat's installed in the machine and actually clean out everything, because it gets so tight in there, because all the grass and everything just gets in there. So that's pretty common, but you can certainly, the liquid wrench will really help, but I would say clean all the grease and everything out first with some brake clean, spray it out, and then spray it out with air, and then maybe go back to use some more brake clean, and then you can put something like liquid wrench or WD-40. I would almost recommend WD-40 because it's going to repel a little bit more water, so there's not going to be as much rust in there. Recently, Heartland 96A commented on the soil mover part 2. I don't see any other videos on this project. Did I miss something? No, you didn't. The soil mover is still sitting exactly where I left it. Well, it's not sitting exactly where I left it. It's been sitting on a shelf for a better part of 5 years. I haven't put it behind a machine or anything. In fact, I even tried to sell it a couple times. Nobody wanted to buy it. So I just haven't had time to go back to it and play with it at all. I still do need to replace that metal pan on it. That's one of those projects, maybe it'll be before I retire, before I get to it, but it'll eventually get done. JSER commented on rebuilding the Onan B43G Part 1 external teardown. Where's the cheapest place to buy parts for a rebuild? It really depends on what you want to do. The way I would go about rebuilding an Onan, and this probably could just go in an Onan video, is first tear the entire engine down. Don't even worry about parts until you get the engine torn down, because you can waste a lot of money rebuilding an Onan by buying things that you don't need. So, for instance, a lot of folks think that a rebuild of an Onan is going to cost you at least $1,200 in parts, when in fact you can rebuild an Onan for $250 or $300 if you really are paying attention to what you're doing and the engine's not extremely worn. So the first thing I recommend is tearing everything down and figuring out what you need. So say you just need rings and a gasket set, or say you need just pistons, you don't need rods, or figure that out. And then figure if you can get by with used stuff or if you can get by with new stuff. What do you want to do? Do you want the engine to do you want to be back in the engine in 500 or 600 hours, or do you want it to run another 1,000, 1,500 hours? I would really start there, and then you can decide. But like I said, Boomer's Onan's going to have parts. Bob's a great guy. OnanParts.com, and then any Cummins distributor is going to have access to the Onan parts. Also, you can go to eBay and get parts, so on and so forth. I mean, I sell them on occasion if I break an engine down, but I can't guarantee you that I'm going to have anything that you absolutely need for to rebuild an engine. Hopefully that answers your question. Uh-oh, I think I'm out of emails. Oh, wait. Okay, Alex P. on the John Deere 445 project part 3 asked, why would someone choose a 445 over a 455? I imagine the diesel has better fuel economy and torque. What am I missing? I would personally, I would always choose a 455 over a 445, 100% of the time, when comparing equal machines. In other words, equal condition, hours, etc. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the Kawasaki's and a 445. Nothing. They have gracious plenty of power. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the engines. But yes, the 3TNA 72UJ engine and the 455 is going to get better fuel economy, and it's going to have more torque, more lugging ability than the FD 620 that's in the 445. Now, why would somebody choose a 445 over a 455? Fuel economy overall is kind of a hit or miss thing if it's really important, because if you only put 50 hours on the machine a year, and say you're burning a gallon an hour with the 445 and half a gallon an hour or 0.6 of a gallon an hour with the 455, in the end your savings year over year, I mean, you've got to own it a lot of years to make the savings worth it. And at the same time, then you've got to keep it. If you don't have a diesel pickup truck, or you're not used to working with diesel, you got to take your 5-gallon can, you got to go fill it up, you got to keep it in the garage. You may not like the way it smells, you may not like the way the exhaust smells. Diesel, one of the biggest things that I see with folks is they get extremely hesitant to work on diesels compared to gas engines, whereas a diesel engine is not necessarily any more complicated than a gas engine. But those are just a couple of reasons that somebody would choose a 445 over a 455. It happens all the time. That's why Deere would always give you the option between the two. So I think that's a good option for consumers to have. Like I said, I would always choose the 455, but if somebody wanted a 445, that's perfectly fine as well. I'm not saying one is necessarily better than the other, depending on a situation. Let's see if I can get one more in before I run out of. I think I'm gonna run out of email. Yep. I think that's it for the email. But hopefully you enjoyed the. Oh wait, I got one more to load. Jim Bennett on the 445 project part 3 said, I tried to warn you about the plug wire. Yes, I think that is just a victim of I wasn't thinking and I just reached down there. Normally I would turn it off, but when you're trying to operate a video camera and do that at the same time, leads to some weird things happening. Doing the video and talking about it too, probably not as easy as it looks. No, I mean, one of the biggest troubles I have with videos is actually getting the thoughts out of my brain and out of my mouth at the same time. I mean, I'm sure everybody sees that. But yes, the plug wire was a little shocking experience, pun intended in that particular case. So hopefully you like the views. I'll actually pick up the camera and pan around where I'm at real quick. and then I'm gonna get back on the road. I got more to see. See how long I've talked here. Oh, only 16 minutes. I got a couple minutes. So really cool thing about Custer is the granite outcroppings. I mean, you can see off in the distance there. So that whole structure right there, and I'll actually walk up here to where I was sitting. So all of that is part of the Needles. So we're on the Needles Highway. And basically the eye of the needle, I would highly encourage you to look it up. There's just some granite cathedral spires and granite. It looks absolutely awesome. This is a great part of the country to come to, and yeah, you can see the views, and hopefully the wind's not too bad for this video. I may even just release it just for the views. So hopefully you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.